I'm Hannah Viviers. Thank you so much for joining us in Dream Big. Today we are interviewing my friend Marcell Erasmus. He started a project where he's taking all these photos of people that sometimes most of us often overlook or we don't know their backstory. And he wants people to know some of the stories behind these people's lives so that we can know more about them. Thank you so much for joining us. Marcell, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've been wanting to have this interview with you for the longest time. So here I am mumbling through what See What I See project is actually about. But you can tell us, what is your heart for this project?
Okay. The reason I started is, I have a heart for South Africa and a love for South Africa in a way that I can almost not explain it. And there's so much negativity about South Africa and so much bad news about South Africa. And I feel like people need to know, or people need to see South Africa in a different light. And in order to do that, South Africa's got the most amazing people. And generally it's the people that you see walking on the streets, whether it's someone putting petrol in your car, or your domestic, or your person working in the garden, or the guy begging at the traffic light. So I've just been starting to get to know those people, and if God put someone on my heart, then I would go and speak to them and just find out a little bit more, find out their story, where they've come from, about their family life, and where things have gone wrong in their life. And every time I speak to a person, I realize that they've got an amazing story to tell, and those people have ambitions and gifts and family issues, and like every other person. So the reason I'm doing it is I just want people to see the person that society might forget about or may think as being a little bit different. I just want people to realize that those are people, and they each one have a story, and they need to be treated with dignity and respect as well.
So you started taking photographs sometimes with these people where you would ask them if you would take a photo of them. And so how did that come about?
Because I've always had a love for photography, I felt like photography is a tool that I can use in order to get their story. Because I think it's a bit random just walking up to someone and say, "What's your story?" Yeah. But I'm always so surprised on how willingly people are just able to let me take a picture of them. Because I will explain to them, like I always explain to them, it will be on social media or other people will be able to see it. So, and then I ask them permission if I can take a picture of them. And I've only had 2 guys where they've said to me, "No, Rob, please don't take a picture," because they're embarrassed. But most of the time people are willing to. And it just makes me realize that generally I'll be referring to the people that society have neglected or think differently about.
And when you say that, I think it's sometimes, and because South Africa is we still deal with race issues, and it's still a very sensitive and sore point for a lot of people. And from what I've heard from you, it's not even about that, because it's not even about how we see each other as race, because even within a race, you'll have the whole classes thing come in, where you think, well, I've got more than that person, so we might be the same race, but I think less of them. And that's whether you're black, white, Indian, color, it doesn't really matter. I think we, as human beings, we have that, not just in South Africa. I think it's a global thing. I think people always have this thing of, what makes me better than you, and then what makes me feel better about myself. And so when you say these are people that we often overlook, I think most of us do this, where we think, well, it's just the person who's putting petrol in my car, or it's just the person that is taking the garbage off the street or sweeping. And most of us, we don't treat them the way that we do with each other, or with the way that we treat people that we think are on the same level as us.
Yeah. That's true. And I mean, I think probably years ago I was probably also that kind of person that would treat the people differently because of their class or what they have or something. But thankfully God's done work in me years ago, and He's changed my heart and He's changed my view of people. And I mean, the Bible clearly says that there shouldn't be every favor on anyone, just because this one's got maybe look better or they are better dressed. You can't favor favor that person.
I want you to tell some of the stories. So this one says, when I asked you which one of the photos or the stories stands out most for you, you say this one. And so why is that?
His name's Joshua, and every Monday when we put the bins out in the street, like, you know, you've seen it all around, like guys will come walk in the street and they dig through the bins to get all sorts of materials then they take it to a place to get money for it. And I saw the guy, I was standing outside, well, I was standing inside the house looking through the window, and I saw this guy. And and I think God just put him on my heart to go and speak to him. So I walked out to him and I asked him what's his name, and when I went and I greeted him, he said to me, he referred to me as boss, which is the term that the black people would use when they speak to a white person in those times. And I immediately just felt sad because he doesn't even know me. I don't know him. And just the fact that he felt like he had to say boss to me, which already upset me, because I felt like he already thinks of him as lower than me just because of his skin color. So I just spoke to him and I asked him about his life and how he ended up here. And he just said to me he used to be a carpenter. He used to work for a company, but the company got retrenched, and things just snowballed, and just he ended up being homeless. So he lives in a squatter camp. So I asked him, just like on different days he would go to different areas and to dig through bins, and he'll get like maybe 100 rand a day or something from the stuff that he takes to the recycle place. But he said what really broke my heart is, he says to me, but there's certain areas that he would avoid, because his brother is also living in the West Rand area. But he doesn't want his brother to see him, because his brother will tell his mom, and he doesn't want his mom to know what he's doing for a life, for a living at this stage.
When you tell this story, I mean, I can see you're very, very emotional about it. What about it makes you that emotional about Joshua's story?
After I spoke to him, I asked him if I can give him some coffee and food. So I just went back into the house, made some coffee. I took it back out again, spoke to him, and then I said goodbye to him and I left him. And when I walked back in, I felt God say, I need to go and pray for him. And there's like a sweat top that I like. And I felt God saying I need to give it to him. I thought like, no, but I like that one. But then I just thought to myself, you've got plenty of other stuff. So I just took it out. I stood in the street, and he was a little bit further down the road by that end. But then he saw me, so he walked back. And I gave him the sweater. And then I just asked him if I could pray for him. And I think it was just when I started praying for him, I like just in a profound way just felt God's love for him. And I think that's why it's just, he's on my heart, and I see him every Monday and I try to speak to him.
And I think what's so amazing to me about what you're saying, because you've said this as well, now you've got me tearing up, is that you've said to me that just from, because you post your stories on Facebook and on other social media platforms, and you were saying that people have approached you and said to you that just by seeing these stories that you're posting, it's changing their hearts about how they see sometimes even the person that's working for them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've had people, like when I post these stories on social media or my website, or like people from overseas, or like random people that I've never really spoken to, would come to me or would send me a message saying, oh, thank you for that. It's very challenging, just the way it makes them think differently when they go and put petrol in their car, or even at their garden. One person said to me they've never really asked anything about their gardener's life, where they've come from, about their family, and it challenged them to go and speak to their gardener and just find out a little bit more about their life and them as a person.
With you doing this, Marcell, what is your what is your heart for it? You have said that you want us to look at these people, but like, what would you like to see happen? The more that See What I See, that movement and that project grows, what is it that you would like to see as a result?
God says we need to dream big, so this is a big dream for me, but I really want to be part of the change in South Africa. And I think if more people just start to see the average person on the street in a different light and from a different perspective, and if they can treat them with respect and dignity, already some change will start. But if I'm able to tell a person's story and there's a specific need for a person, whether it's clothes or just something small like anything, then perhaps someone else can get on board and say, but look, I'm able to give them a pair of shoes or something. And you may not be able to change someone's life, but you can certainly change someone's day. Mm-hmm. And I think even for that individual, just for the fact that someone's actually come to him and taken interest in their life, I think that's already just making that make that person feel some sort of worth. So if more people can just do it, I know that slowly, gradually, some change will come.
And I know that there are people that were looking for work that you met and you were able to connect them. So that was really great. We're going to take a really short break. In return, we're going to continue with your story because there's a photo that you took that went absolutely viral. And it was great on the one hand, but on the other hand, not so great because of a lot of the comments that you got that weren't so fantastic. I want to talk about that photo when we come back. Okay. So we're going to take a short break, and so you can click onto part 2 of this amazing interview with Marcell Erasmus.